What do we want? When do we want it? One more time. What do we want? And when do we want it? Shut it down. That's right. Where is Sylvia, our 9-year-old climate activist? High five. I wanted to talk about whales. That's why I called you here, because you launched a conversation about whales. The oceans are quite often forgotten when we're talking about fighting climate change. But without the bees and without the whales, we don't survive. One of my I think one of the greatest environmental heroes, Paul Watson, says, if the oceans die, we die. Okay? And I'll explain why. It's pretty simple. Very simple, actually. Whales poop actually feed phytoplankton. The whales and the phytoplankton are the biggest absorption factors of CO2 in the oceans. One whale represents thousands of trees. The phytoplankton produces more than 70% of the oxygen in the air we breathe. The phytoplankton feeds the zooplankton, the baby fish and the baby crustaceans. So, if the oceans die, we die. In the North Atlantic, currently, we're losing our North Atlantic right whales. They are protecting us from climate change with their absorption of greenhouse gases. So we need to do all we can to also protect them and the marine ecosystem. And we have to be careful as new technology comes in. We heard about offshore wind. I am in favor of offshore wind. However, we have to do things properly. If we're going to pile drive very loudly steel pipes into the seafloor, and it happens that a whale would be in the area, she could get injured or killed. If we lose one female, we could use the entire population of North Atlantic right whales. The whales, as you said, actually are changing their routes. They're following the food source, and it's changing with the changes of temperature in the oceans. And so, we can't predict when they will be, where. So, and I'm sorry I'm French with the French accent, but so there is no way, if we cannot predict where they will be, then we shouldn't use techniques that will endanger the whales. So we have to be careful, and we have to make sure that as we go into renewable energy, we do it the proper way to protect the environment and not for private interest. So I wanted to really thank you, because you brought up a very important subject. Once again, without the whales, without the bees, we are nowhere. And so everything you do every day, from making sure plastic doesn't end up in the oceans, everything, what you eat, I don't know if you realize, but what you eat has an impact. The animal agriculture is also in part destroying the oceans, from dead zones, killing all life where the dead zones are. So think of what you eat, think of what you wear. My shoes, by the way, are made by recycled nets pulled out of the oceans. So we call them ghost nets. So why not take the subsidies to the animal agriculture, or even to the fishing industry, to the big, heavy industrial fishing industry, take those subsidies away from them and give them to fishermen to pull out nets from the oceans and make some money with pulling out the nets. We can be bold. We can be creative. We don't have to stay stuck in these cycles of where it always ends up for big corporations. So, additionally to the amazing speakers that we had earlier, I want to stress the fact that we have environmental champions in our government, but we are not enough. And that's why when I look at the crowd, I know there are future legislators in here. And we'll need you. We need you today. We need more legislators that are representing the people and the future of this environment, our future, the future of the children of the youth, the most important voice today. And that's why I will stop talking and let's do it one more time. What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it?